Hi, hello, and how are you? Anthony Fantano here, the internet's most unknown music nerd, here with a review, Unknown Mortal Orchestra. After yesterday's death metal orgasm, I figured I would go for something a little friendlier, a little sweeter, a little lighter on the ears for you guys. Alright, so this band is in fact not an orchestra. They're a trio. They're just a couple years old now and sort of came together after the band's guitarist left the indie rock group the Mint Chicks. And this LP comes after the release of an EP which had 4 tracks on it, and all 4 from this thing make it onto this thing. And the sound UMO has on this LP is a vintage one, so you can add these guys onto whatever lists you're keeping of bands that are going for a sound from the 60s. There are a lot of groups that have kind of already reigned supreme in this category a little, like the Fresh and Onlys, Generationals, Tame Impala. These guys also remind me of the OCs a little bit, and more recently that band Cults. So if you're into the style, these guys might be worth checking out, but the question is, will they last? Is this a go back to record? For one, I do love the sound of this album. It's mixed in a pretty interesting way with the guitars riding backseat along with the vocals, and the drums really drive this album along with the bass, which is kind of sitting shotgun. A lot of these new psychedelic bands, a lot of these bands that are mining from that 60s sound just kind of try to suffocate themselves in reverb, and I don't know why. Maybe they're trying to kill themselves. But these guys are really kind of up in my face. Not in a really aggressive way, but just in a we're really close together kind of way. We're really close right now. These guys are like literally hiding nothing in this recording. Everything is on display. The bass is really round, obese, fat. It's like a 400-pound guy that had to take up 2 seats on an airplane. And like that Cults record, the drums on this thing aren't usually what you'd hear behind music like this. Sounds a little bit more like a hip-hop beat with really heavy kick drums. Kind of reminds me of some of the hip-hop beats Beck used to back his old stuff with. The guitars are really sharp and brittle, the vocals are even sharper, sometimes jumping into a falsetto. And these vocals really make some of these tracks stick. Really catchy, really brand themselves in my brain, almost to the point where it's annoying. But the thing that kind of makes this group stand out for me is definitely their melodies. Without them, they would just sound like one more generic take on this style. Like the track JELLO and JUGGERNAUTS, which really kind of rips its style from classical music. You also have Thought Balloon. The melody on that really kind of jumps around, hops around like a frog. And Little Blue House, which the melody on that track, it kind of sounds like it ripples and then peters out like if you threw a rock into a lake. The only thing that really bugs me about this record, really makes me want more, is how they structure these songs. Because how these tracks are layered and built just seems so fast and simple, with a lot of fade outs, a lot of repetition. It kind of seems a little rushed. A good chunk of these songs just feel like I'm running in circles, like Funny Friends, the opener to this album, where I feel like I'm hearing the same part over and over and over and over. There are even spots here that sound eerily similar, like the verses on Bicycles sound a lot like a slower, less effect-heavy version of the verses on How Can You Love Me. I mean, the album came on really fast, it was really easy to get into, it was really colorful, it was really upfront about everything that it had to offer, but it quickly started kind of wearing its welcome for me too. And I kind of catch myself thinking like the first half of a lot of these songs sounds exactly like the second half of a lot of these songs. That's how, bad some of the repetition can be. This wasn't a terrible album. There were some very likable tracks, a couple pretty good tracks too, but it just feels a little flimsy to me. It's just kind of like a old lime green couch with some holes in it. Picked it up at Goodwill, Salvation Army, something like that. I need something to sit on in my apartment. Why not? It's my apartment. Let's bring it in, put it down there, and you sit on it. You jump on it. You watch TV on it. You make out with a drunk chick on it. But it's not my bed. And when I move out of the apartment, I'm not going to bring it with me. Not going to tell my kids stories about it. I'm kind of feeling a strong 5 to a light 6 on this album. Pretty on the fence with it. But what do you think of this? Do you love it? Do you hate it? And why? And what do you think I should review next? Anthony Fantano, Unknown Mortal Orchestra, forever.